Light. There must be NVIDIA.
We're going to roll the animation as NVIDIA, a $4 trillion market cap, which no company's ever done, Jim.
Well, look, it's the evolution of hardware. It is. If it were just AI, generative AI, that'd be one thing. But it's accelerated computing, and people don't give that enough credit. And I think this time is not software time. It's not Exxon's time. It's the idea that we have leaders of the world in hardware. Remember, there's a ton of software in NVIDIA, and there's nobody that's near them. Nobody's near them.
Can we take this moment to basically assert that the AI trade is going to drown out tariff noise and trade uncertainty?
Well, the way that the president breaks stories, you can't drown him out. I mean, because like he could come out right now and say, he has decided that Australia, one of their greatest allies ever, Australia's they have to pay. And like you're saying, well, pay for what? So yeah, he can change the discourse, but I think that what this is the individual investor is a little too exuberant here, but the individual investor is saying, I'm going to use the phrase, this is what the president should be. That we're number one. We're number one. And it doesn't matter about the tariffs. We're number one. The copper tariff I thought was crazy. I mean, I called one of the people in the administration and said, what did copper do? I mean, it doesn't matter.
You know what, this line from Mizuho today on the pharma tariffs made me chuckle. Makes about as much sense as anything this administration has said.
Well, there you go. It's not scaring individuals, it's scaring institutions. Individuals are either pro-Trump or just think, you know what, Trump's a distraction from me making a lot of money in NVIDIA.
Right. But do we believe retail has an edge on institutional money? Retail, or is it just hope?
Retail recognizes that the Dow was at 1,000 in 1982, and now it's at 45,000. And if they had just stayed in and stayed long, if they had owned NVIDIA and not traded it, then they would be very rich. And that's it. Look, NVIDIA made people rich like no stock I've ever seen. It's a retail stock. The institutions got out of NVIDIA years ago.
I know, but couldn't we have had that same kind of conversation about JDS Uniphase or you name it?
You mean just don't sell us?
Yes, yes.
It then became just don't sue us?
Yes.
Look, here's the difference. Sell some NVIDIA. You never got to sell any JDS. You can sell some NVIDIA and go buy, I don't know, buy whatever. You go to Amazon. Here, this idea. Sell some NVIDIA, and a fraction, just to get your position down to 5%. We've done this at the club. And then go to Jassy. Notice I don't call it Amazon anymore. And look at this right now. Autocracy by Ann Applebaum. Who else has that? One of the things that's scary is you go look at somebody else's Amazon page and you see what they really buy because it's offered right up the top. Yes. And you just be like, did you really buy that?
Right.
Did you really buy that Metamucil?
They know you, Jim. That's true.
You have a problem with Uggs? What are you doing there?
Nvidia just shy of a $4 trillion market cap. Shares need to hit $163.93 for the chipmaker to become the first ever company to reach that milestone. Joining us now, Vivek Arya, Bank of America senior semiconductor analyst. Vivek, great to have you with us. Do you have any concerns about this? I mean, I think that one argument that a bear might make is that a lot of its customers are actually working on their own chips, some closer than others. But for instance, Amazon is pretty close up there in terms of shipping that chip out. Is that a threat to NVIDIA, or do they work in conjunction with?
Sure. Good morning, Melissa. So I think market cap is going to follow the size of the opportunity and the company's ability to monetize that opportunity. And, there are two ways that one can look at this. So first is, if you look at the consumer electronics market, Apple is about a quarter of that market. It's about $1 trillion market, and Apple has this $3 trillion market cap. NVIDIA's AI market can be over $1 trillion to $2 trillion, and it has 80% of that market. So that's one way of looking at market cap. Second is, if you look at 2026 and just consensus estimates, NVIDIA's net income in absolute dollars will be 20% higher than Microsoft's net income and 40 to 45% higher than Apple or Amazon's net income. So that's another way to look at that. Even at the same price to earnings multiple, you can consider a higher market cap. In terms of competition, I think custom chips have been about 10 or 15% of the total market. I don't see that changing over time. Amazon is investing. Google has been investing for a number of years. And the challenge these custom chips face is that the requirements of generative AI models are changing so rapidly that it is very hard to keep up, because you really need that combination of silicon and software and developers to all march to the same beat. And that's really hard to do with a custom chip. So we think they are 10, 15% of the market, but it's very hard to dislodge NVIDIA's dominant 80+% market share.
Are there more DeepSeek moments to come, Vivek? We've got like 30 seconds, but, you know, with DeepSeek, you can do a lot with a lot less.
Sure. And, you know, interesting thing is that DeepSeek is not even among the top 20 or 50 downloaded applications right now. I think what DeepSeek showed was not just that there are certain kinds of models you can do in a cheaper way, but there's a new class of reasoning models that generate tremendously more computing demand. And that's what I think the consensus has probably missed. So we think it has actually been a net positive for the company.
Vivek, great to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Vivek
Melissa.
Arya.
Rapidly approaching its next mega cap milestone, driven by the AI revolution. Of course, Christina Partsinevelos is here with more. Hi, Christina.
Nvidia is inching closer to the once unthinkable, a $4 trillion market cap. Shares would need to actually hit $163.93 to make it the first company ever to cross that milestone. Despite the staggering run-up, Wall Street's bullishness hasn't faded. Citi just raised its price target to $190, citing a surge in sovereign AI demand, that governments racing to build and control their own AI infrastructure and data pipelines. Morgan Stanley says supply chain bottlenecks tied to Nvidia's new Blackwell chips are easing, but they don't expect a glut. Demand just remains way too strong. There are other catalysts in play, too. You've got autos as well as China. Bank of America highlights that a single autonomous test vehicle can generate enough data in 6 hours to fill 256 iPhones. As autonomous vehicle testing ramps up, they estimate the GPU count for autonomous driving assistance systems could grow tenfold, from 8,000 GPUs to 80,000 GPUs. As for China, Nvidia says it's assuming zero data center revenue due to export controls. So if rumors of a compliant B30 chip, that would be the Blackwell chip, are true, it could be a tailwind, not in the models, but potentially in the stock, because it would be a source of revenue from China. And I want to leave you with Nvidia's latest tweet. Nvidia reposting a headline saying OpenAI has no plans to use Google's custom chips, and added, powered. You can see powering the foundation by Nvidia. Wells Fargo calls this tweet, quote, savage, as it reinforces the view that Nvidia's chips still outperform custom silicon. Carl?
Nvidia is on the verge of becoming the first chipmaker to hit a $4 trillion market cap, just a year after it crossed $1 trillion. The AI boom is rewriting the rules, and Nvidia's dominance is at the center of it. While some of Nvidia's biggest customers, like Amazon, are building their own chips, they still rely heavily on Nvidia's tech. It's not just the hardware, it's the full-stack ecosystem, CUDA, software libraries, and developer tools that creates a high switching cost. Analysts argue the upside is far from priced in. If you look at 2026 estimates, Nvidia's net income could surpass Microsoft's by 20%, and even top Apple's by 40–45%. That alone justifies its valuation, even at today's elevated earnings multiples. Meanwhile, demand isn't slowing. Morgan Stanley highlights that the GPU count for autonomous driving could jump tenfold. Nvidia's Blackwell chips could unlock new revenue streams in China if export restrictions ease. And its custom chips, still holding 80+% market share despite Google's and Amazon's efforts. Yes, DeepSeek models may do more with less, but with generative AI models evolving so fast, the market needs Nvidia's scale and speed. This isn't just another tech cycle, it's a full-blown platform shift, and Nvidia is building the rails.